know what the truth is when we go to the polls on the 23rd of September. Kia ora tātou.
The Honourable Nikki Kaye.
Mr Speaker, firstly, can I just say thank you to the many members of this House that have been in touch with me over the last 4 months since I've been sick. It's been really beautiful, actually, to have received those messages, and for all of those people watching that might have a negative view of politics, I can tell you that my view of many of the people in this House right across the spectrum is incredibly positive, and I just want to acknowledge all of those people that have been in touch. Can I also acknowledge the members of the public as well? So many beautiful messages, and my heart goes out to all of those people that are going through or have been through what I've been through. So what a difference 4 months can make in terms of politics. We have a new Prime Minister, and I do just want to take the opportunity to acknowledge John Key. I haven't had the opportunity to do that. I know a lot of people in this House want to rewrite history, but he's an incredible man, and he's dedicated, I think, 10 years of his life to be leader of the National Party, and then 8 years as Prime Minister. And I think history will show the incredible job that he has done, whether it's through the GFC or whether it's through the Canterbury earthquakes, and I just want to acknowledge you, John. Then also, I do just want to talk a bit about the leadership. We've heard a lot from opposition members over the last couple of hours about Prime Minister Bill English. And I just want to tell a little bit of a story as to why I actually got involved in politics and involves our current Prime Minister. I'll never forget watching him leave the building after we went to the worst election result ever. And one of the things that really I admired about him was the way that he got back up. And he's always said the reason that he did that was because of his children and the example for his children. So I guess my first message to members of the opposition is, I know how this works. You guys have a script which currently says we need to say he's not a leader. We need to say bad things about Bill because then people are going to vote for us and they're going to prefer Andrew. Well, actually, that's not going to work, because this guy is the real deal. He is one of the greatest finance ministers that we've ever had, and he is the architect of a lot of our social policy. Bill English is a great leader, and New Zealanders are seeing that, and I have no doubt that the polls will reflect that. Can I also acknowledge Paula Bennett, our new Deputy Prime Minister? So in terms of the State of the Nation speeches, I want to make a few comments about that. Prior to this Prime Minister's statement, I don't think we could have seen a better contrast from the opposition versus the government. We announced, ultimately, everything that I've learned about politics, it is about, are you doing the things that matter to people? Are you ensuring that you do everything you can to make people safer? Are you doing everything that you can to ensure that young people get the best opportunities at school? Are you doing everything that you can to ensure that we raise wages so that people have the best amount of disposable income as possible? Our Prime Minister's State of the Nation was about how we make New Zealanders safer, $500 million worth of expenditure to ensure that we have more police on the beat, to ensure that we have home burglaries responded to quicker, to ensure that we have a new emergency number, a tangible package for New Zealanders. The opposition turned up to the State of the Nation with no policy whatsoever. It is not good enough to have a State of the Nation speech whereby you don't actually deliver anything for New Zealand. And I think part of what we are seeing this year is a government, and it's absolutely outlined in the Prime Minister's statement, that has a huge amount of policy underway, an aggressive agenda in the area like law and order, $500 million, a very detailed policy that isn't just about more money, it isn't just about more police on the beat, it is actually about much better deliverables for New Zealanders. Everything from 95% of New Zealanders will be within 25 kilometres of a 24/7 police presence. I know, as a member for Auckland Central, what it means to have police on the beat in terms of prevention of crime. That is a very tangible package, and I can say through my electorate office I have amazing feedback, because people know we are only in this position because we have had a very strong set of economic policies, which leads me to my next area where I think New Zealanders are going to have a very clear choice this year. You have a party that is pro-trade, that believes in an open nation, that has a good record in terms of our trade agreements, versus an opposition whereby nobody's really clear what their position is at the moment in terms of Labour, because they've been all over the place in terms of trade. The reality is, when we open our borders and ensure that we have trade, that leads to exporters being able to sell more products. We basically increase the pie for New Zealanders. That's a very good thing, and that is where we have a very clear differentiation between this government and the opposition. In terms of educational achievement, again, we can see what the script is that Labour have written. They've written a script which says, in fact, I couldn't believe it. I sat here and listened to the Leader of the Opposition say education funding has been frozen. Someone out there, one journalist, please, one journalist, just fact-check that. $11 billion in expenditure. As Associate Minister of Education, we have so many building openings that it is difficult to get ministers there because we have invested hundreds of millions, actually billions of dollars, in upgrading the terrible mess that we were left by the last Labour government. It is not true that education funding is frozen, and it is not just about more money. The reality is, Hekia Parata has done a stunning job of overseeing significant reform which has seen educational achievement rising. And it's not just rising for those Pākehā kids, it's actually Māori and Pacific students, of which she announced the other day, the results are climbing up. That is incredibly important for the future of New Zealand. So again, you can see a government that's focused on significant policy, from raising educational achievement to communities of learning, to investing more in infrastructure, and those are the facts. Education funding has not frozen, but again, we know what the script is from Labour. They will say whatever they want this year, even if it's not true. In terms of other areas where we've got huge amounts of investment underway, if you look at the transport area alone, when I first became MP, people had talked about the Victoria Park Tunnel for decades. In fact, people had talked about the CRL, I think, for 100 years. What we have seen in my electorate alone is massive projects either delivered or signed off. The Victoria Park Tunnel delivered under budget in quicker time. Waterview, another massive infrastructure project that this government has invested in. The CRL, now underway. These are huge infrastructure projects that have been talked about for generations and that are being delivered by this national government. We have a lot more to do. If you look in the area of health, in the last budget, we announced significant amounts of money in terms of Pharmac. Very important in terms of access to medicines, but another example where we are very focused on the things that matter to New Zealanders. And that, ultimately, is about leadership. Leadership is not changing your suit and maybe getting rid of the glasses and turning up and having a great photo op at the State of the Nation, but not delivering any policy. Leadership is about turning up and saying, we are actually going to deliver $500 million, 1,100 police officers, 24/7 police stations for 95% of New Zealanders. That is leadership. Bill English is a great Prime Minister, and he is going to continue to demonstrate that leadership and deliver on real policies. And that is what our government's record is. We have a significant record in terms of our economic management. In fact, if you look at our economic management, the economy grew by 3.5% in the year to September. If you look at annual wages, when we came into office, $12,000 more, $59,000. On track 2021 to be $66,000. If you look at jobs, 130,000 have been created in the past year. These are real achievements and real deliverables. That is what leadership is about. And if the opposition, their strategy is to run Bill English down, that will fail, because ultimately people out there know what we've delivered and they are listening to the actual tangible policy announcements that we make, like we made in the State of the Nation. So in conclusion, it's great to be back, and I just want to again acknowledge all of the members of the House. But ultimately, this election will be fought on real policies, real deliverables and real leadership, and that is the Prime Minister Bill English-led government.
I call Eugenie Sage.